You've learned the Poi Meltdown, now what comes next? Drex here from Drex Factor Poi, sharing with you the love of poi spinning and flow arts to benefit your body and brain. And today, I'm going to share with you what comes next, if you want, after you learn your meltdowns. Before we dive in, I just want to give a quick shout out to the friends of the channel. Big thanks to Dark Monk, Flow DNA, Flow Fests, Flow Toys, Juggling Calling, Pyroterra Light Toys, Spinballs, and Ultrapoi for helping to make the videos on this channel possible. You can learn more about all these amazing companies and the work that they're doing to support flow artists like yourself by checking out the links that I've got down in the description of this video. And a special thanks to the first non-business friend of the channel, Johnny Howard. Thanks so much for your support, Johnny. Welcome back to my series, What Comes Next? The whole theory behind this series is that once you've learned a particular poi trick, sometimes you get a little stuck and you're trying to think, hey, what can I do with this trick? What are the variants on it? And what does this set up for me down the road? So in this video, I'm going to share 3 variants on the trick in question to get those creative juices flowing, both to show you what you can do now, as well as to give you some ideas for things you can create on your own. It's not exactly a tutorial and it's not a combo. It's somewhere in between. It's what comes next. And today's request comes courtesy Luke Deschano, and it should be said, several other commenters. This is one of the more popular requests I've gotten. That's right, we are covering the Poi Meltdown. Originally called the Mind Meltdown, this is one of those tricks that dates back to the first explosion of tech poi back in the late 2000s. It's specifically associated with Zan Moore's particular style of tech poi, but I've seen it used by a lot of people over the years. And it also should be said, abroad, that is outside the US, it's sometimes known as a crosser instead, which, yes, that does get confusing on occasion. And interestingly enough, the two tricks have a lot in common in that they involve the hands being in positions where they kind of have limited mobility. So, as it turns out, the Meltdown and crossers have a lot of crossover too in terms of the variants that are possible with each. And given that I recently did a video on what comes next with crossers, and many people came up with variants that I did not include in that video, I'm going to take care of a lot of y'all today and show you some of those same variants you said that I missed with crossers, but in a meltdown place instead. So let's dive in. So I'm going to keep it simple with our first variant here and actually just give you the first thing that I learned how to do with my meltdowns, which is something that I just call the meltdown extension. The idea here is pretty simple. There's one spot in the meltdown where your arms are actually free and not tied up by trying to be close or wrapping around your body. You just use that as a moment to set your arms and hands out to full extensions. Now, this is kind of cool because it adds a dynamic shift and makes the move a lot bigger in one part. I also like it because it opens up the possibilities for doing transitions. Normally when you hold your meltdowns around your waist in the kind of default position and everything, the only options you really have available to you are to kind of switch into more weave-based tricks. But once you open up into extensions, you can also get into some wall plane flowers as well. And let's be real, it also just looks really cool in general. Yay for dynamics and level shifts. I'm a big fan of this one. Next up, a variant that is a specialty of a very good friend of mine who actually introduced me into the world of tech poi. That's right, we are going to talk about the around the head variant on the meltdown that I learned from my friend Christian Medina. Now, real talk, this variant has annoyed me for many years because it is such an arm twister and I do not have very flexible arms, unfortunately. It's also one of those tricks that it's really hard to tell what you're doing, but hey, for the sake of completism, I think it's good. And it should be said, Christian makes this move look a lot better than I do. So if you want to see a better example of that, go track down some of Christian's videos because you're not going to regret doing that anyhow. And it should be said, you can also switch from doing your meltdowns up around your head to down around your waist, and it adds yet another level change component to this. Want to get into them from a windmill? Why not? The sky's the limit here, literally. And before I show you my final variant for this video, I'm going to ask a huge favor. And that is, if you've come this far, you're probably a big fan of poi spinning, and I would love it if you would follow or subscribe to my channel. Help me grow, and that way you get to see my new videos as they come out. And pretty please too, I would love to hear your requests for new videos in the What Comes Next series. Leave me a comment and let me know what trick you'd like to see me cover next. Thanks. And for our final variant, this was probably the most common thing people asked me to show with crossers, and here you go, That's right, we're going to switch our meltdowns into together opposites. This is a lot easier if you've learned your meltdowns going in both directions because, quite simply, you're just performing the same motion, but each hand happens to be moving in a different direction at the same time. How about that? The only downside here is that if you try to do it with the extension like we did in our first variation, you wind up with a hybrid that's a little bit more difficult to keep under control as you're going from side to side. Not the end of the world though. This is also one of those great bragging rights tricks because even if somebody's familiar with a meltdown, they'll take a look at this and just be like, what? What are you doing there? Yeah, every once in a while the bragging rights tricks actually do something cool. This is one of them for sure. Awesome, so those were my 3 picks for what comes next after you learn your meltdowns. And I want to throw out a big thank you because this video would not be possible without the kind contributions of these wonderful folks right here. These are my Flow patrons over on Patreon, and they, along with the wonderful people listed down in the description, help to make this video and all the videos on this channel possible. And hey, if you would like to sign up to support my mission in bringing poi spinning and flow arts to the wider world and helping people connect with their brains and their bodies as creative people, you can do so by heading on over to patreon.com/DrexFactorPoi and signing up. There you can get early access to all of my content, as well as a say in what topics I tackle in the future, plus some great behind the scenes and extras content too. So go check that out. Please and thank you. What did you think of my list for what comes next after you learn meltdowns? Were there some variants that are left out that you would have loved to see? Let me know down in the comments. And of course, send me your requests for other tricks to cover in this series. Please also make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to help my channel grow and for other people to find it. Finally, if you'd like to check out more videos in this series, I will leave a link down in the description as well as up on screen here if you're watching on YouTube. Please make sure to get outside and flow today, and I will see you with a new video on Monday. Peace.